They're also a key element of the dramatic feature film, Pearl Harbor. Touchstone Pictures and Jerry Bruckheimer Films teamed with producer-director Michael Bay to recreate the historic attack that brought the United States into World War II. Locations around the world.
All right, everybody, looks like Joey just gave me the all clear, so come on in and enjoy your Backlot tour.
Right, this way. Those of you come in, just continue all the way down here, fill in the empty space. Make sure when you stop, you get stop. Make sure when you do stop. You can see with those overhead monitors, we'll be using them a little bit. Those of you in the front row, if you don't want to get a little splash during the show, just take a big step back away from the railing, and it should keep you dry during the show. Water takes just like this one continue to play a major role in action films today. Here's the explosive, out of control mayhem that you can see in movies like Crimson Tide, The Rock, and Pearl Harbor can be created by using large-scale mechanical and physical effects. The action is then filmed as a carefully planned sequence of events.
In this scene, the patrol boat is on a surveillance mission, searching the skies for enemy aircraft. Crews caught off guard when the real danger surfaces from beneath the sea. This is going to require a full range of physical effects, split-second timing, and careful direction. We have the lights, we have the cameras, all we need now is the action.
And if anyone knows serious action, it's certainly Michael Bay. Now the last and probably the most important physical effect in a scene like this one is fire. That has to be ignited at the precise moment because it takes a lot of time and work to reset the charges for the explosions. Now, of course, the number one consideration in the timing of all of these effects is always the safety of the actors on the set. And that's where you come in. Hi, sir, what's your name? Everyone say hi, Craig. Hi. Well, Craig today you cast the role of the mechanic of our PC boat, but the action you're seeing takes place down in the engine room. Most movies now are shot out of sequence, which means that actors have to react to a situation that hasn't even been filmed yet. Sometimes this can be a real challenge for them, so it's the director's job to help them find their motivation that they need during the scene. Okay, Craig, here's your setup. In just a minute, that boat next to you is going to buzz right before 800 gallons of water dump out of those tanks, come flying down the chute and slam into you like a freight train. Okay, feel motivated to hang on tight? Good, because it's actually more like 1,000 gallons of water, so there's a fine line between motivation and fear. Okay, ladies, everybody, here we go. Can you guys roll play back, please? Remember now, you just lost your engines and action. Look around and check on your engine. Right now, pick up your phone and call your captain. Let them know what's going on down there. Tell them you're in big trouble and hold on tight. Keep talking and cut.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Captain Donna and her brave crew, Sarah and Jerry.
Thanks, guys. Okay, places, everybody, here we go. Can you guys roll play back one more time, please? All right, crew, remember that you're all on a surveillance mission and action. All right, Captain, you hear planes approaching in the distance, so keep looking around and try to find those planes. You're all shocked, and you're surprised, but you're still in trouble because here they come again for
music, get the entire party with you. Give me a count, we'll do it. Next, please stay tuned, right?
We get me strolling on at the whole show before we come to the shuttle. Now once again, please keep the entire party together.
Well, the one each other, get to work.
Disney Studios has brought up marching audiences such as motion jacket, delightful, and lovable characters the world has ever known.
What?
On June 21st,
No, it's all outside.
the tradition
It's all outside.
His name is Stitch.
He's taken a police cruiser.
Yeah, he took the red one.
That crazy Trump is about to make a jump.
My name is Chris and I'm going to be your tour guide today. And we're going to get underway here shortly, but before we do, guys, I need to do a quick sound check. So if you can hear the sounds of my voice all the way in the back, everywhere, whoever can hear the sound of my voice, give me a great big wave, okay? Everyone that can hear me, give me a wave. Excellent, guys. That looks good. Now that I know that everyone can hear me, I know you're all going to hear my words of caution. My words of caution to you today are that those of you sitting on the right-hand side of the shuttle, that is your right-hand side, this side right here. You guys are going to be getting just a little bit wet today. All right, folks. Welcome to the Disney MGM Studios. My name is Chris. I am your tour guide, but I'm only one half of our team. Guess who the other half is? She sits right up here behind me in the driver's seat. She's our driver, and her name is Melissa. She's going to be safely navigating us throughout the studio backlot this afternoon. And I can't think of a better way to begin this tour than with the symbol and the landmark of the Disney MGM Studios. If you look high in the sky towards the front of our shuttle out to the left, you're going to see our award-winning Earful Tower. Now, this tower is based on the design of a water tower that Walt Disney had built in his Burbank studios in 1939. Our tower stands a lucky 13 stories tall, and here in Florida, we capped it off with a giant set of Mickey Mouse ears. Now, the right ear weighs 5,000 pounds, and the left ear weighs 2.5 tons. The diameter around the top of the tower is 28.5 feet. We know this because each holiday season I climb up there and I cap it off with a giant red stocking cap. Now, the Disney MGM Studios is a high-tech working production center featuring everything needed to produce movies, television, and radio shows. They have been filming all day on one of our standing sets that we have on our back lot. Now, they've been filming since about 9 a.m. That is the good news. The bad news is we haven't been able to go through that set since 9 a.m. As I said, the production team has been filming, and it is a closed set, which means we haven't been able to go through there all day, but we did talk to the production coordinator earlier this morning before they did start filming, and he did agree to let a few lucky tour guests go through that set when they are taking a break. Now, we don't know their break schedule, but our driver, Melissa, is going to be in constant contact with the production team out there to see if they are on a break, and she's going to work our way into that set. No guarantees, though. Keep your fingers crossed. I'll let you know a little bit later. In the meantime, though, these planes here, these are our first two props of the day. These are two full-scale replicas of P-40 Tomahawks from the movie Pearl Harbor, which starred Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett. Those are 2 out of the 16 planes that were built for the movie, and those are the only surviving 2. The other 14 were blown up. Those of you sitting on the right-hand side of the shuttle, take your last eyeful of the Earful Tower. That is the best view you're going to get of it all day, and that is right before we duck into our most glamorous building on property. Then our team of seamstresses and tailors take those sketches and they turn them into the finished garments that you see worn by the cast. Now, some examples of some costumes these guys have made are hanging in the cases to your left, and they're in movies such as Pearl Harbor, The Rookie, Princess Diaries, The Royal Tenenbaums, and also Snow Dogs. That's Disney's recent comedy which starred Cuba Gooding Jr. and all of its activity does make us the largest working wardrobe in the world. Wow. So room coming up on your left-hand side. This room here is currently being used by Henson Productions. They are in the process of filming a new children's educational series called Animal Jam. That will premiere in 2003 as part of the Ready, Set, Learn programming on the Learning Channel. Check your local listings for that. The room coming up on your right-hand side, as you can probably tell, is being used for blacklight painting. That's already painted things for attractions such as Rock and Roller Coaster and Fantasmic. The mural that you see in there right now will be going into Star Tours, which can be found right here at the Disney MGM Studios. The last room you're going to see on your left-hand side is our scenic design department that's recreate and maintain sets and props that are used on our outdoor sets and sound stages. Now, the guys in those rooms have created things for television shows such as WCW Wrestling, The Wheel for Wheel of Fortune, some sets for the Rosie O'Donnell Show, and also Live with Regis and Kelly when they were filming here earlier this year. Cool. Now, one of the greatest things about the movies is that they can take us to so many different places, from the house next door to a dangerous canyon to the bottom of the ocean floor. We are now entering our back lot where I can show you some examples of all of these. For example, if we were going to film an underwater adventure, we would head to the green tent coming up on your left-hand side. This is our underwater special effects tank, and it was originally built for Hulk Hogan's series Thunder in Paradise. But it's been more recently used for all those underwater nightmare scenes in the house on Haunted Hill. The inside resembles a large swimming pool, but the bottom is actually sculpted to look like the ocean floor. That provides a safer, much more controllable environment than filming in nature. We are now making our turn on a residential street. Everyone take a good look through the first house coming up on your right-hand side. That's right, folks. You heard me correctly. I did say through that first house. That's because you're going to notice that house has no backs or insides. That's because the house is actually nothing more than a false front or a facade used for exterior shots only, as with all 8 homes on our residential street. For example, when Jim Varney was filming Ernest Saves Christmas, he chose the second house on your right, number 242, for all those exterior shots of Vern's house. Now, believe it or not, Ernest Saves Christmas is a very special movie to us here at the studios. That's because it was the first full-length feature film shot here at the Disney MGM Studios back in 1988. That is 1 year before we opened as a theme park. Since then, all 8 homes have been used in television, movies, or commercials. Coming up on your left-hand side is one you may recognize. It's our most famous and by far most popular house. The beige wine-style house was home to Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, and Sophia for 7 Emmy Award-winning seasons of The Golden Girls. The Cape Cod-style blue house was home to Alice in the Disney Channel educational series Adventures in Wonderland, and directly across the street from that, the 2-story facade was featured in Touchstone television sitcom Empty Nest, which starred Richard Mulligan, Kristen Nicole, and of course, Bear the dog as Dreyfus. Now, when cast and crews travel to cities and towns around the world, they often encounter many problems that they have little to no control over, some of those being crowds, traffic, and noise. And to cure all this, they choose to come and film right here on our backlot. And as we round the corner here, folks, take a quick look to your left-hand side. You're going to see a small glimpse of our urban counterparts of Residential Street. That is New York Street. Don't worry about taking pictures of that right now, though, because later on we're going to drive you guys by there, and you're going to have the opportunity to get a really great photo. Now, one of the most exciting things about films these days have got to be the action scenes, and if you're anything like me, you wonder a whole lot what happens to all those cars, boats, buses, and planes after they've been blown up in all those action scenes. Well, they end up in a studio boneyard. Most major studios have one. It's kind of a prop attic, where props sit and wait to be used for another production. The first 3 props that you're going to see in our boneyard are 3 totem heads from the movie The 13th Warrior, which starred Antonio Banderas. The silver and red spaceship was flown by Christopher Lloyd in Disney's My Favorite Martian. For all you Star Wars fans out there, we have a set of props from the original Star Wars trilogy. First up is a sand skiff from Return of the Jedi and a snow speeder from The Empire Strikes Back. Now, these military-style vehicles were used by Steven Spielberg and Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. Take a good look at the treads on the tank coming up.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to notice that those treads are actually made of foam rubber. That was to save wear and tear on all those actors and stunt doubles that were repeatedly thrown on top of that tank. We have 2 mining cars from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. A yellow, futuristic-looking forklift is from the movie Bicentennial Man, which starred Robin Williams. Up next, from the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, is Judge Doom's infamous Toontown Titmobile. Also from Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the orange Pacific Electric trolley car. Take a second look at this trolley car. You're going to notice that it's not really a trolley car at all. It's actually just a modified city bus. Those steel wheels are just a fiberglass fitting put up over those radial tires. From Who Framed Roger Rabbit, we have 3 out of 7 blue cars designed to show a car in many different stages of destruction. The yellow helicopter was flown by Bill Nye the Science Guy at the Universe of Energy in Epcot. The blue cockpit was used in Blue Thunder, which starred Roy Scheider. 2 prop planes from Disney's The Rocketeer. These prop planes were never designed to fly, though, folks. That's because their engines are actually made of styrofoam. The custom-built Black Speedboat is from Disney Presents The 100 Lives of Blackjack Savage. Sad to say, 100 lives only equals 4 episodes. Coming up next, we have two space pods from the science fiction hit Starship Troopers. And also on the very end, we have Max, the Silver Spaceship, from Disney's 1986 hit film, Flight of the Navigator. Now take a good look across the canal. You can see a real backstage view of our residential street. You'll see that small details such as shingles and siding stop right beyond the camera's range. Now that is an age-old Hollywood production trick we like to call saving money.
Yeah, fake phone.
Is this thing on? Oh. All right. All right, guys, it looks as if we've got the clearance to go inside the special effects set that I was telling you about earlier. Apparently the production team has taken a break or whatever. We're going to head on inside here. We do have to stay over a wooden bridge, so it is going to get bumpy in a couple of seconds. Guys, I would like to remind you to remain seated at all times. And while you're remaining seated, keep a firm grip on all those loose belongings. Now this canyon was on after National Canyon out in California. Took our crew 6 months to build this set. Melissa is going to pull us to a stop up here. Feel free to take all the pictures you want on the inside. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what goes on inside our canyon here. You can't see it, but directly above us is a platform where camera crews hoist their cameras up, and they film down into this ravine. The black tanker that you see sitting there used to sit in our boneyard, but we decided to use it for this shot, so we hoisted it up over the canyon walls and set it into place. Now earlier today, the production team was testing out a rain effect. If I could get someone in the booth to turn that on. Excellent. Now this rain is shot out from nozzles on the top of the canyon in a crisscross pattern. That makes it appear more natural. Now you're going to notice something that's a little bit different about this rain, is that it's actually only shooting out about 12 to 15 feet in front of our shuttle, and the black tanker out there is not using it. Production team. Guys, if you can hear me, go ahead and cut that scene. Production team, guys, someone on your team has given us clearance to come inside here. This is a tour show. Guys, please cut the scene. Everybody give yourself a great round of applause. Make some noise, guys. You just survived the one and only fantastic. Well, folks, right now we are going to take you around the backside of the canyon. As we come around the backside of the canyon, you're going to see that it's really just a steel structure covered in wire mesh and colored concrete. The small yellow pipes carry the propane to the fires and explosions, and the large gray pipes carry the water to the flash flood. Now, that whole flood was started when 3 huge tanks released over 70,000 gallons of water thundering down towards our poor little shuttle. That whole show was designed to totally reset and recycle in just 3.5 minutes for about 100 shows a day. Now, from the canyons of California, we're going to take you all the way back across the country to the streets of New York. Sit back, relax, hold on. We will have you there in just under a minute. The plane coming up on your right-hand side is a little piece of Disney history. That was Walt Disney's personal private plane called the 234 Mickey Mouse. That's what he used to fly himself and his team of Imagineers across the country for the 1964 World's Fair. Where'd all the guests go? Well, folks, we just reached top speeds in our shuttle here of probably about 12 miles per hour. We're going to slow it down and come back to the city streets of New York. Look through the trees there, and you're going to see the inside of our City Hall on New York Street, or the lack thereof. You're going to see that the buildings on New York Street are designed a little bit differently than you may think. They're designed with only plywood, styrofoam, and just a little bit of concrete for texture. Not a single brick was used in the completion of any of these buildings, which makes it even harder to believe that they can all withstand hurricane winds of up to 100 miles per hour. Now get those cameras ready because coming up on your right-hand side is a perfect photo opportunity. We'll look through the Washington Square Arch all the way down to York Street. You're going to see the skyline of New York City right here in Central Florida. There it is, folks. That's a Hollywood production trick called Forced Perspective. Now, the real Empire State Building does stand over 100 stories tall. Our Empire State Building stands just over 4 stories tall. Those down there are really nothing more than painted flats. Now, the passing of New York Street does signal the end of our tour. We're going to drop everybody off at the American Film Institute Showcase. It's currently housing an exhibit called Dress to Thrill. It features dresses from some of Hollywood's finest actresses. Now, this is a must-see exhibit, and by must-see, folks, I mean it is your one and only exit back out into the rest of the theme park. So, I would like to remind everyone to remain seated until we have come to a full and complete stop and wait for the big red doors to open. On behalf of your driver, Melissa, my name is Chris, and that is Cy out there on the dock. If you have any questions, he can help you out. We hope you enjoy the Backlot tour today, folks, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day here at the Disney MGM Studios. Thanks for celebrating 100 years of magic with us. Take care, guys. See ya.